All right, IM1 classes. Today we're talking about compound inequalities. Compound inequalities are just two inequalities in one. So let's look at our compound inequalities. We have two of them. There are and inequalities, and then there are or inequalities. The first ones we're going to talk about and inequalities. And inequalities is the intersection of two inequalities. And then the graph, you're going to have two endpoints. In this case, it's going to be -2 and 3. And then the graph is always shaded in between the endpoints. When you're plotting the endpoints, make sure you're paying attention if it's an open or closed circle. So at -2, there's no line underneath the inequality, so it's going to be an open circle at -2. 3, there's a line underneath it, so it's going to be a closed circle at 3. And in and inequality, this is telling us that x can be any value in between -2 and 3. So we need to shade all possible values of x by shading in between the dots. And inequalities get shaded in between. All right. Take a second to do this one on your own. And then check your answer. I'll go ahead and reveal your choices, the multiple choices for the poll. But here, first thing you gotta look, they're all shaded in between. Which one is the correct answer? You have to look at the endpoints, which are the open and closed circles. So at -4, since it has a line underneath, it needs to be a closed circle. At 2, it needs to be an open circle. So that would be C. Closed circle at -4, open circle at 2, shaded in between. All right. So you can graph, we are going to be working with inequalities that you are going to solve and graph them. So to solve a compound inequality, you need to put a line of separation on each inequality, simple. So a line of separation here, a line of separation here. And then there's a middle of the inequality and then two outsides, two sides on the outside. We want to get x by itself in the middle. So we're going to eliminate the +2 and the +3. Whatever you do in the middle to eliminate those things, and it's just like solving the equation. So to eliminate the +2, I'm going to subtract 2. Whatever I do in the middle, I have to do to both outsides. All right. -10 minus 2. Just think of a number line. -10 is to the left of 0. When you subtract 2, you're going to continue counting to the left, so you end up further away from 0 at -12. Less than the +2 minus 2 cancels out, so all you have is 3x. And that is less than or equal to 8 minus 2 is 6. Last step, to eliminate the 3, I need to divide by 3. Whatever you do to the middle, you have to do to both sides on the outside. So the times 3 divided by 3 cancel out. So all you have left in the middle is x. And then since we are dividing by 3, a +3, we do not need to flip the inequalities. This is still something you might have to flip inequalities around. But since we're dividing by 3, no flipping. So -12 divided by 3 is -4. 6 divided by 3 is 2. Oh, don't forget to put down a line there. Now look at the sign. So I'm going to have endpoints at -4 and 2. So no line underneath the inequality. So open circle at -4. Line underneath here. So closed circle at 2. And it is an and inequality. So I shade in between. All right. Go ahead and do this one on your own. And then I will work through it. So check your answer when you're done. I'll start working through it now. So first thing, I'm going to start eliminating things in the middle. I'm going to eliminate the +7 by subtracting 7 from the middle and both sides on the outside. So 22 minus 7 is 15, is less than 5k, is less than 50. Then I'm going to eliminate the 50, or the 5, excuse me, next to the k, by dividing the middle and both sides on the outside by 5. 15 divided by 5 is 3. 5's on the middle cancel out, just left with k. 50 divided by 5 is 10. So open circle at both, no line underneath, no line underneath. So endpoints at 3 and 10. and then I shade in between the endpoints. All right. The other type of inequalities are OR inequalities. So OR inequalities are really easy to identify. They will say OR in them. All right. It's the union of two inequalities. Basically, when you graph them, it's going to look like oars on a boat, always going to the outside. So the and inequalities point towards each other, or inequalities go to the outside. So make sure you're just paying attention if it's an open or closed circle. So at -1, I need an open circle. 5 has a line underneath it, so at 5, a closed circle. And or inequalities shade to the outside, so outside. So I can be less than -1 or greater than +5. All right. So take a look at this one. This is real similar to the one we just did. Make sure you pay attention. So it's an or inequality, so it needs to be shaded to the outside. -2 needs an open circle, +5 needs a closed circle. So that's going to be D is the correct answer to that one. D. All right. And then there are going to be problems where you have to graph. These are just like the ones, or solve and then graph. These are just like the ones we did the other day where you need to solve the inequality first. So I'm going to just do each inequality individually. So 4x plus 3 is less than 5. I'm going to start off, I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. +3 minus 3 cancel out, I get 4x. I do not flip the inequality since I just subtracted 3. You only flip when you multiply or divide by -3. So -5 minus 3 is -8. And then divide both sides by 4. And I get x is, I do not flip the inequality because I divide by a positive. It's only when you multiply or divide by a negative on both sides, you flip the inequality. So x is less than -2. So I'm going to put in open circle at -2 and shade the values less than -2. That's this one. All right. 4x plus 3 is greater than 23 now. So I'm going to do this one, same 2 steps. I need to subtract 3 from both sides. So +3 minus 3 cancels out. You get 4x. Do not flip the inequality since we just subtracted 3. We did not multiply or divide by a negative. And then last step, I'm going to divide both sides by 4. So that eliminates, I get x is greater than, again, I do not flip the inequality here. You only flip if you multiply or divide by a negative. We are dividing by a positive, so no flipping of the inequality. That's an open circle at 5. Greater than means I shade to the right, or since it's an or inequality, you always shade to the outside. All right. So give this one a try on your own, and then when you're done, check your answer. So I'm gonna solve this one. First thing I'm gonna do is subtract 3 from both sides. So I get 3n is greater than 3. Then divide both sides by 3. Do not need to flip any inequalities since I did not multiply or divide by a negative anywhere along the way. Now I'm going to shade or solve this next inequality here. Oh, 4n plus 3, another, right. So first thing I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. That eliminates, I get 4n is less than or equal to -20. Divide by 4. I get n is less than or equal to -5. I do not need to flip the inequality since I did not multiply or divide by a negative anywhere along the way. And if you look at, I'm just going to reveal the answers. The only or inequality in the answers is B, this one here. But if you look, open circle at 1, and you're shading to the right because n is greater than 1. Closed circle at -5, shade to the left because n can be less than or equal to -5. All right. Just a couple more examples. Another and inequality. So it's all mixed in. One, it doesn't say or in there, so it's an and inequality. So I'm going to put in my line of separation on both sides. My first step to solving this one is I'm going to subtract 5 from the middle. And then whatever I do to the middle, I have to do to both sides on the outside. So the positive 5 minus 5 cancel out. All I have in the middle, this negative, the minus stays with the 4. So it's minus 4n in the middle. So 29 minus 5 is 24. 25 minus 5 is 20. Then I need to divide both sides, or the middle, by negative 4. And so whatever I do to the middle, I got to do to both sides on the outside. I'm doing that to eliminate the negative 4 in the middle. So times negative 4 divided by negative 4 cancels out. All I'm left with is n. 20 divided by negative 4 is negative 5. 24 divided by negative 4 is negative 6. Since I divided by a negative, I divide everything by negative, I need to flip the inequalities. All right, and that should make sense because negative 5 is in fact larger than negative 6. So make sure you're thinking about that when you should flip. Does the actual inequality, especially when it's like this, does that make sense? Because if you didn't flip them, it wouldn't make sense. Negative 5 is not bigger than negative 6. So make sure you flip it. And then when we graph it, it's not actually going to affect the graph that much. So endpoint at negative 5, another endpoint at negative 6, both open circles, and we're shading in between them. All right. Last one, another or inequality. So first thing I'm going to do is solve the first inequality here. This one on the left, I'm going to put in a line of separation. First step to solving that one, I have a minus 6. So I'm going to eliminate the minus 6 by adding 6 to both sides. So I get negative 5r is less than 14 plus 6 is 20. Got to negative 6 plus 6 cancels out. Make sure you keep the minus that's in front of the 5 with that 5r. So it's a negative 5r. So to finish solving, I'm going to divide both sides by negative 5. So times negative 5 divided by negative 5 cancels out. I get r. I need to flip the inequality. I divided both sides by a negative 5. So I need to flip the inequality to open up the other way, and then 20 divided by negative 5 is negative 4. So I can go ahead and graph this. R is greater than negative 4. So I'm going to put open circle at negative 4, shade to the right. I want to shade all values greater than negative 4. Last one. Solve this. Might need to make that bigger in the future and see. But anyway, subtract 4 from both sides to eliminate that plus 4. So plus 4 minus 4 eliminates. I get 2r is less than or equal to negative 6 minus 4 is negative 10. Last step, I'm going to divide by 2. I do not need to flip the inequality because I divided by a positive 2. So negative 10 divided by positive 2 is negative 5. So I need to put a closed circle at negative 5 because it has a line underneath it and shade to the left. All right, that is it for today. Go ahead and get into your assignment is in quizzes today. So make sure you follow the directions to log into quizzes to do our first assignment in quizzes. And then we have a test coming up. So if you have any questions about any of this stuff, make sure you are asking, and we'll see you guys next time.